Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
So welcome everybody to this new session of the European Alliance Against Coronavirus. First of all, you know that this session is being recorded and it will be published on the European Cluster Collaboration Platform channels, also in the European Cluster Alliance channels. So if you remain with us, you are accepting that fact. Today we have a very special topic, very interesting and totally applied to all our activities. It's about knowledge as a strategic asset for the competitiveness in the post-pandemic era. And we have three excellent speakers to present the topic. Alberto Pecci from DILEMA, the Catalonian government, Jaime Quesado from the Strategic Consulting of CEA, and Lucia Sil from Lucia Sil International Consulting, and as you very well know, a big expert in this work of clusters. As usual, they will make an initial presentation, and we will open the floor later for a general discussion for your contribution. So this is as the topic of today is an excellent example of how we build collective intelligence, and we count with your contribution also to make it even better at the end. Thank you, Alberto, Jaime, Lucia, and now the floor is yours, Alberto.
Okay, thank you very much, Antonio. I will share my screen. I have a presentation, and then I will be very happy to share this view in the debate after that. Actually, I think it's as Antonio said, this is a very important topic. I think not very well-known topic. There is a certain a lack of knowledge regarding this in the cluster community, I believe. And I have to say that actually my expertise, my relative expertise in this came from an epoch of my professional life in which I was not dedicated to cluster, because it was when I was knowledge manager of a big international consulting firm as McKinsey. That is also one of the best practice in knowledge management. But let's start with this. Sorry, I think you can see my screen, but I'm not sure if I can. Okay, yes, I am planning to intervene well in three main issues. Well, an introduction to knowledge management, how it works, and then the last part, some consideration on how knowledge management could be useful and could be used at cluster level. So, as a tribute to this group that started with for debating against the pandemic, the crisis, I think that I use this first slide in which one of the most prominent thinkers today, like Yuval Noah Harari, that is international author of many bestsellers, intervened and insisted, actually a few weeks after the outbreak of the pandemic, in which the most important thing, the most important weapon that humanity has against the virus was knowledge, was to share knowledge, to be able to use intelligent knowledge against the virus. This is a different article that have been published, and just to introduce a bit. But I think it's important to start with some definition. Here you have just few of them. For instance, the ones, well, the ones that everybody use when today's when we are looking for something new. That is Wikipedia. That you can read the knowledge management is the process of creating, sharing, and using and managing knowledge and information of an organization. And then some other definition that I'm not reading now, that are once used by a very important organization like the World Bank, that is another organization always in the top of the ranking of best knowledge management system, and in which you see this, and the other as the ones that I know better because I use it, in which knowledge really for international consulting strategic firms is something very, very important. In fact, in McKinsey, for instance, there is more than, at least when I was there, and I suppose this is even increased, close to 1,000 people only dedicated to knowledge management in different locations, because it's really a source of is really one of the most important assets of this organization. But the concept came is something that it seems new, the knowledge management concept, but in reality is a concept that have some decades, and actually it was first mentioned by Peter Drucker, that is the father of many other concepts in management, in this book, and in which he introduced the concept of knowledge work. Then it is been a lot of things written, a lot of interesting book written about that. Just to mention the very important book on the knowledge creating company by two Japanese authors like Nonaka and Takeguchi, that really for the first time introduces this concept of tacit knowledge. So the importance of the knowledge that is not codified, the knowledge that we cannot find in Google, the knowledge that we cannot find in books at that epochs, and the knowledge that everybody has in his own mind. That is the most important one, as we will see. Then I think there are other important books. I really, for me, a reference one is this at the center, Intellectual Capital by Thomas Stewart, that I will use in a moment to its concepts. And then many other organizations, I see here, I put again the World Bank, but also our organization as well, what is now Axio, in which really they dedicate a specific text to this important argument, because it's really very important, both for the organization itself, but also as a tool for working for companies. I think it's very important, and sorry for taking some minutes about that, to distinguish, which is to know better knowledge. And sorry for the tricky use of this word, because it's not the same talking about data. And the data is a simple fact of observation. For instance, if we talk about, for instance, our cluster, I go for an example with cluster. Say, well, we have 30 in our cluster. We have 30 members. Okay, this is a data. It's no more than that. Or today the temperature is 24 degrees. That information is a step more on this, is the context in which this is put, no? And the context means, well, this is okay, we are 24 data, but 24 degrees today, but probably is not we have below the average temperature of this month and of July, so it could be it's not that hot. Or data, again, in the example of clusters, could be the context in which, well, 30 members, well, we are not so big in our industry. And then knowledge, that we talk always use knowledge, is something more. It's something more because it's the conclusion that you can draw from this data information. And here it is when it enter into the stage, also the importance of tacit knowledge, because the conclusion could be different from each one of interpreted it and each one intervene in it. So the conclusion is that today we have 24 degrees, we are below the average of it. So maybe it's a good day for having a walk, or for do something outdoor because it's not so hot. So, and this is something that I think it's very important to say. Then there is other concept that is wisdom, that is the collective knowledge about things that sometimes, but I will not enter in this. So we see an important thing. that knowledge it could be codified or tacit. And when we look really at studies that have been made about that, sorry, okay. We see that what we know, tacit knowledge, codified knowledge is the knowledge that is in documents. When at the epoch of in which Nonaka wrote his book, was basically referring to books, to documents. Now we're talking more on digital knowledge that is everywhere, but it remains something that had been codified at a point, by somebody, and is not something. But there is another type of knowledge that is actually the most valuable one, and the great part of that. It has been estimated by different studies that between 75 and 90% of all the knowledge existing is tacit knowledge, and this is what people have in his own mind, and this is something that it could be only accessible through activities like talking with people, like networking, or it is what in English it's know-how, and or French, the French say the savoir-faire, something that is difficult to make it explicit. And this is the knowledge that is most important one, is the knowledge of knowing how to do things. Huh? And this is it is also when Nonaka wrote his book, the knowledge that was important for competing at the time. At the time, the Japanese company at the beginning of the 90s were very, very competitive against that. And one of the reasons was because they have this system of using knowledge. So there is, we see that is a tricky thing. Knowledge management is not something trivial. And some companies, like well, the ones I had the opportunity to work with, are very structured it. And in order to really structure a program for a key success factor for knowledge management program, you have to have at least these 4 pillars. So clear objectives, so establish what you want to use knowledge for, to map your knowledge assets, and you see between the codified and tacit ones. Of course, we could enter. I have a presentation that is probably 1 hour only to develop this exhibit. Then you have to have a good system and infrastructure to use it. And the most important one for me is the conducive culture. So to create a culture that stimulates sharing knowledge, stimulate the knowledge management, all these kind of things. So to give incentives in your organization to use knowledge properly and effectively. Here, I don't have time to spend to enter in detail on this, but you have example of reference company and organization that have used structured knowledge management system with results. Well, you can see that, and I will enter in the second part of my intervention, the last 5 minutes, to dedicate to spend some time to see how this knowledge management could be used at cluster level. First of all, I think that a cluster is on this great advantage of being ecosystem in which you really have a lot of different actors, and in which you have a lot of tacit and collective knowledge, also interdisciplinary knowledge, because since there is the stakeholder that participate and see things from different angles, it's a really very interesting ecosystem environment to apply knowledge management techniques to make the most better use of knowledge. In fact, I said at the beginning that is something that is not very used. There is, I think, a lot of opportunities still to do in cluster. But you can see, I have just make a quick search on articles, scientific articles regarding the application of management in cluster environment. And I found these 2 examples just put here on a Polish researcher and from Taiwan, in which really they do a structural analysis of what you can do with cluster in the field of knowledge management. And there's also this, because what is sometimes it's tricky to share knowledge, because well, we know that companies are in cluster at the same time are sometimes collaborating, but most of the time are competing. So what's happened is that sometimes we have this. Sorry, I had some problem in prisoner dilemma. That is, well, the ones that have studied the game theory knows it, but it is this situation in which you have this hypothetical situation in which you have two people that are accused from a delict, and they have to decide if they share or not knowledge. What if they are talking or not, if they are confessing or not, and if they share, if they confess, that they will have a reduced periods in prisons. But this means that the two of one, they have to confess, or they have to order knowledge. So this is a situation in which you have to cooperate in the base of trust of the other, and this is something that happens also in cluster. And here is where, if you collaborate, you have the best project, the best opportunity of at cluster level of implementing projects, pre-competitive projects in which you have a gain for all the cluster of the cluster community. So it is clearly that there are clearly distinctive advantage in using knowledge management at cluster level. First of all, for the possibility of collecting and sharing knowledge along all the value chains, that is something that does not happen at company level. And also to interact with a related complementary industry that you have in a cluster, because this is something normally when you work at individual company level, you are more focusing on your own industry. A cluster, as we know, more and more, it's more cross-sectorial, and so you have opportunity to capturing knowledge and strategic knowledge, at least from others, from other industry, and it was where this is very valuable. So some example, just very quickly to go to a conclusion of taking advantage of knowledge at cluster level. Cluster organization, I believe, can represent a neutral platform for codifying knowledge and using it better. They can improve cluster business environment through this knowledge, and so these horizontal cooperation projects are very important and could be implemented better if you have this knowledge sharing. Well, and then this is I taken it from one of the two articles I mentioned. You can have really very different use of knowledge at the level of organizational learning, at the level of production and distribution of knowledge within the cluster participant, and even sometimes the article talks about knowledge protection. So really some conclusions. Organization and company have unique knowledge that they can use to compete and collaborate at the same time. Clusters represent a unique environment to for collecting this specialized knowledge, especially the tacit one, and cluster organization could play this important role. And but I think it's they can play this role even if they have showed that there are a neutral platform that are doing it, and that will do it in the benefit of all participants and all cluster members. So we'll stop here, and then I, of course, I'm available for the discussion. We'll be very happy to do it.
Thank you very much, Alberto, for that excellent introduction. And I think that now it's time to give the floor to Jaime Quesado.
Thank you very much, Antonio. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, as always, every week, and now to share some thoughts and ideas on this very interesting and dynamic concept of knowledge. Well, I articulated with Alberto that I would give a very practical example of something that was and is being also developed since the beginning of the pandemic crisis, so 1 year and 4 months ago. And this is a sharing group that is managed by WhatsApp, by digital means. We call it Sharing Knowledge. It's a group that has more or less 200 people, people from universities, people from clusters and academia, people from companies, people from different areas like economy, the sociological ones, health, and things like that. And this experience is very important. It's very interesting. Alberto is also involved because, in fact, we created a culture of sharing not only ideas, but especially knowledge. That it has been very important, especially in the beginning of the pandemic crisis when people were isolated, in order to have the best tools in terms of what is being done everywhere in the world to put this action. We designed as a brand for this sharing knowledge group, value for confidence, because in fact, the most important value that we have when we share is, in fact, recreating and consolidating the confidence and the trust among all of us. Nina, if you can pass, please. I put here this well-known sentence from Peter Drucker. Alberto also spoke about it. Knowledge and information are the key strategic resources to the development of a nation or a region, and people are the drivers of change of these resources. This is a very well-known quote from Peter Drucker that I think is very applicable to what we are speaking today about. Nina, please. When this group was created, so 1 year and a half ago, there was some thoughts that were discussed among the members. The one was about rethink. There was a very interesting document. I also shared it at the time here in the group. That was Rethinking Communities. It was published by a well-known author from Harvard University. And the idea was to put people that were involved in different areas of knowledge to try to rethink new ways for society and for economy. And it was very interesting in the beginning, especially in May and June last year, when the pandemic has, in fact, lots of problems in terms of the disruption of value chains, problems with health, a certain sense of lack of trust that all of us were having. And it was very interesting, the sharing ideas that we had at the time with the different people putting into action some very interesting areas. The other aspect that at the time, and also it's now, and we have been working on it here in this group and in the clusters as a general, is the question of resilience, and especially from the people that were linked with the health area, and we have some people that are there, especially from hospitals and from digital companies that work with health. It was very interesting, this sharing of experience that they had, especially in some hospitals, dealing with people with problems and things like that. The term of return was at the time very important. How will we return to a normal time? How will we be able to try more and more efficient at the time? And here the question of the economy was very important. We have in the group special people that are connected with some companies that are very international ones in terms of export, investment. And in fact, the question of the return to the market was very important. This is with the question of reinvention, how we are going to reinvent our companies, our products, our life cycles and value chains. And we've had also a very interesting experience in the sharing knowledge group. And of course, this idea of next normal. Nina, if you can go on, please. Why sharing, and why did we decide 1 year and some months ago to create this sharing knowledge group? First of all, because when we share, and you know that very famous phrase from Charles Peter, that is a well-known thinker in London, it tells that we are what we share. And in fact, this is correct. When we share, and when we share knowledge and ideas, we develop the culture of learning, and improving a better understanding of different areas, especially when we have people from different areas, economy, health, sociology, humanities. It's very interesting to try to see how these areas interconnect between areas. For instance, culture and art are becoming more and more connected with innovation, with creativity, and with economy. And it's very interesting when you have people like Couto Malagues, that is one of experts in culture in Portugal, and others there, sharing some thoughts and ideas about how now in the future we can recreate the social dimension of our activity more and more with culture and with identity. The second point is that when we share in this way, we reinforce a context of collective intelligence and open innovation, especially because we are open in terms of mindsets to share our vision, our sense of purpose, and to recreate what we can say it is a digital collective intelligence that we translate for our normal and physical and presential collective intelligence. Third, we create a sense of smart digital communication. The digital communication problem is very, very complicated, because when we try to maintain, to sustain the digital communication, it's because when people get to normal, when people get to the normal presential life, digital becomes again not so essential. And it was a challenge, and it is a challenge 1 year and 4 months after it began, to maintain, to recreate this group, trying to give it life and then see. And finally, because we try with this experience of sharing to develop some concepts of good practice and actions of demonstration, because people, and in the future, I think this will be more and more evident, will need results, impacts. We will need to learn with the that can be, in fact, a good example for the future. Nina, please, we are going on. What do we do in this group? We are what we share, in fact, this is our brand. We have a very intense content sharing, and every day we have more than 20 high-level documents from all over the world that everyone puts, and where we can learn a lot about what's going on. And sometimes most of the people comment on it and try to develop the culture of sharing. We have a very interesting point in terms of open ideas, especially when we have some more problems that sustain a more discussion in terms of the group. And we decided to do this year, during the last 6 months, a very interesting collection of smart discussions. We invited some of the most people we have in Portugal and outside, people from economy, from other areas, and they shared with us all these points. It was very interesting, and we are going to make a book about these smart discussions. We had a lot of people participating, giving their ideas and trying to context. Dina, please. And of course, within this 1 year and a half, we have some results already. One of the most interesting results of this group was the launching some months ago of another initiative that has a lot to do to Portugal, that is Portugal. Market for Portugal is a movement that was created within this shared knowledge group. It has 21 initial signatories, and it will try in the future to make a lot in terms of the promotion of the brand of the Portuguese economy. We made 3 days ago in Café Majestic, that is one of the most beautiful coffees that we have in Portugal, in Oporto, a very interesting session of launching of the group. And we have, and I will conclude with this, 3 main topics within this movement that are very, very connected with what we have done also in the sharing knowledge group. The first one is the first idea that will be of this group is very, very articulated with something that is becoming more and more important in Europe and the world. That is the question of the Green Deal. So we want, with this movement, and we have already lots of companies involved on that, that Portugal can be the world's first green premium country. The idea is to try to find a national purpose that adds value for the products that most of the companies do. We know that the sustainable steel premium is becoming more and more important, but we want more than that. We want that the companies within their products, their service can add value and to sell them in the market higher in terms of price, in terms of quality perception from the markets and the customers, based on this idea of green and sustainability. This is a very interesting purpose. This will be very, very, very challenging for most of the companies that are involved in this, and we have most of the big companies from Portugal and others that are involved. And in the future, with that equation with the Portuguese authorities, things will go on very well. The second idea, very concrete of this movement, that was a result, it was to accelerate the idea of a value. This is very important. I will give you an example. We have a very beautiful cloth that is made in a very known city of Portugal, and that was sold at 50 euros. The same piece of cloth with a brand in New York by a well-known design was sold by 700 euros, $700. And the question is why we cannot try that our products in the market can be more value perceived by the consumers in the markets. And this idea of multiplying, accelerating will be very, very concrete. We have already 5 very actions on this matter, and I think that can be a very interesting point in terms of recreating in our companies, in our economy, in our society, this idea of multiplying the value of what we do in terms of the price that we put in products in the market. And finally, the third point, the third idea, is also very important. And this is very, very important for Portugal because, as you know, Portugal is a very small country, but it's a country that has an history of network. We have, in fact, lots of networks in Brazil, in Africa, things like that. And the idea is trying to recreate and consolidate something that has already been done, but we feel that now must be reinvented. The way that the Portuguese brand is lived, is sensed by the others. And the idea is try to find some different angles for the perception of the value of the country. I will give you an example. Most of you know in Portugal we have Nazaré, that is very, very known by the waves that we surf, and one of the world champions of surf some years ago discovered it. It made it one of the most successful places in the world in terms of surf. So the idea is that this kind of new perception of some places and products that we have can be installed. So this is a very concrete example of something that is being done, will be reinforced in the future, and it was the result of a sharing knowledge group, a sharing knowledge movement, and that we think that can be practiced. So knowledge, I was telling you, is very important. Knowledge is the main asset that we have now as data is for the future. And it's very important when we can use knowledge to recreate, to reinvent, and reposition the way we are in society and economy. And this very example that I put to you, it's a very good experience on that. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Jaime. Wonderful job what we are doing with that group. Congratulations. So now it's time to open the floor to Lucia Sil.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Lucia.
Thank you, Antonio. Can you see now my screen? I'm trying to make the presentation. Right.
No, it's perfect.
So here I am. So I appreciate the fact that I'm coming right now after Alberto and Jaime, benefiting from the introduction they made into the topic of knowledge management and the importance of sharing the information. And because each of them addressed or mentioned the name of Peter Drucker, I would like to mention as well that Peter Drucker, the legacy of Peter Drucker is continuing and also has quite a lot of tendencies with the cluster world. Only in 2019, I presented at the Global Peter Drucker Forum, the European Cluster Collaboration Platform, in front of a large audience, where it was about the ecosystems. ecosystems in a broader way than clusters. The ecosystems as they are now also under the implementation of the European Commission. And I would like to emphasize as well that the Peter Drucker Foundation or the Global Peter Drucker Forum is open for everybody, and to benefit as well from the online participation possibilities. So as well, keep an eye on social media, and yeah, for November there will be a new Peter Drucker Global Forum of high interest. Now, speaking about knowledge management, I would like to bring in two examples from Austria. Actually, I was prepared with just one related to innovation, but I would also like to emphasize the importance of knowledge management in terms of a practicality of how this is done in the clusters in Austria. And I remember the time I was working for Clusterland Upper Austria, now Business Upper Austria, and that was already 11 years ago. And at the time, there were immense resources, both financially as well as in manpower, put into the development of a CRM, a customer relationship management system. And this CRM system was developed over, I would say at the time, over 8 years. And obviously, it's been continued over the next 18 years. So it has a treasure of information stored there for more than 20 years, showing how the relationships with the companies, what is new, what is happening, where you document every intervention with the companies, with the research institutes. And I think that in the current world, each cluster organization should have, if not a very sophisticated CRM system, at least a digital solution managing the knowledge that is generating through the interactions and interventions in the cluster. When cluster organizations are aggregated or under an umbrella of an innovation agency, then there is an additional benefit coming out there, that is the sharing internally. So having access in a cross-sectorial way, meaning that let's say medical technology cluster can access to all the information of the plastics clusters, of the mechatronics clusters, of the automotive clusters, meaning an immense richness of information made accessible. Besides as well sharing the information across the people, so this tacit information, as I said, the kitchen sharing information system. But this is one aspect that's highly important, and no matter of the size of the cluster, personally, I strongly believe there should be efforts made to digitalize the knowledge management and knowledge processing information at the cluster level. However, what I would like to speak over the next couple of minutes is about what happens, or how to do knowledge management for innovation purposes. How can clusters support their members, so they're particularly their SMEs, because the large ones have their own systems. How the clusters can support their SMEs to have access at the innovation that is out there today. And we know the immense abundance of information and the difficulties we humans have to trace this information, to process this, and to pick up what is relevant for us. So I would like to go with this presentation, addressing first of all, what are the key challenges of the future from the perspective of a cluster. Well, first of all, when we are talking about digitalization, the clusters should walk the talk. They have to do everything possible to be an innovative partner for members and digitize parts of the services. Now, I realized that I got carried a bit away with the presentation without making another first introduction, because you're seeing here in Mana's presentation, and to put you in the context that is also relevant to the information. I would like to mention that this is a concrete example implemented in Austria, in Tyrol, in the region of Tyrol, and it's a digital solution developed by the Regional Development Agency, Standortagentur Tirol, together with the Inmanas company, on whose behalf I'm also introducing to you today this digital tool supporting the clusters. It is at the beginning of the journey, but since a couple of months, this tool is not only being implemented in Tyrol, but it's been introduced to the cluster community as well. So after this belated short introduction, let me come back to the actual presentation. So we know that the organizations need to digitalize. That's something I don't need to enter more in detail here, but it is important for the clusters to support them. And it is important for the clusters as well to digitalize their services, maybe not all of them, obviously, but as much as possible in order to better support the companies. The cluster, one of the challenges is as well to empower them with smart access to information that is critical to success. Empowering means putting them at the disposal, not only access to this wide information, but also processing it in a smart way in order to ease up the life of the companies, to understand where are the innovations relevant for their particular industry, for their particular sector, or either the one they are currently operating in, or a sector they would like to enter it, to open new markets and access them. So it is about strengthening their innovative power with digital tools. That's also one of the challenges. And sorry, so where is the next? And the next challenge is to force open innovation, something that has been mentioned as well. The members of a cluster should be able to work together on solutions in a smart and innovative way. Open innovation is not new. It is there for a long time. In some clusters, it is being practiced, but there is a need to bring down this concept of open innovation much more at the level of the small and medium enterprises. So it looks like I have some problem with my computer to go on. No? Can you still hear me? Can you? Yes. So what is the logic behind the tool that I'm presenting, the tool of the Trend and Innovation Platform developed by Manus? First of all, is looking at the trends. Understanding which are the mega trends as well as the macro trends in your specific industry, in your specific sector, and also understand the significance and how these can influence the business of the cluster members. At the same time, it gives the possibility to identify the relevant risks and opportunities through the understanding and let's say looking in a concentrated way to the trends. And I say concentrate. I will say explain afterwards what I mean through the concentrating. It still looks like I'm having problems. No. So the second step is after setting up the intelligent radar is to use smart innovation scouting on a daily basis. What does it mean? It means understanding at the touch of the button where and which innovative solutions are already emergent for the identified opportunities and risks. It means if a company or several companies see a potential through the identification and analysis of a macro trend, then the tool gives the opportunity to look into what are the innovations already there. How can they look to get either inspiration in addressing their own idea or avoiding duplication and therefore investing in a path that has already been taken. And after identifying from this curated content that is being provided by the platform, it is about going to the next step using smart pin boards to address open innovation. So doing the ideation, working together at cluster level with the companies in the cluster as well to finalize solutions and then develop projects based on these findings. So the core benefits and functions for cluster members. First of all, the opportunity to build a specific trend radar for the cluster. And here I have to say it's extremely important to have the possibility to get as well expert and industry benchmarks. These trend radars set up for a specific industries can be made at an individual level as a company representative. They can be made at cluster level. They can be made by the experts. And of course, this gives as well a very important data that can be generated and made available as well for the policymakers at regional or national level. It is about getting the information about the latest innovations immediately through a very sophisticated selection tool. And you can imagine that there are millions of sources of information out there, but these are processed by humans, and the ones relevant and correlated to specific industries are being selected and made available in 2 languages for the time being, both in English and German. It is about the possibilities to develop and track ideas, solutions in an innovative way with a digital pin board and doing very easily open innovation processes. The tool also has an app solution, making it possible to work everywhere, like it is right now, home office or on the road. And it is also about empowering the members while expanding the own business model, because the business model offered makes it possible as well for a win-win situation for the cluster organizations and for the cluster members. So how they can benefit? How does the tool work? Well, it is possible to have offer a completely new service for the members. And here you can set up a community solution, meaning that the cluster organization can implement this tool where it sets up relevant radars for the clusters and their members. Based on this data, it can lead to new strategies, projects, and services. And as well, it offers the possibility to carry out smart ideation on current topics, to do open innovation projects, setting up innovation scouting for clusters, presenting to the clusters, doing monthly presentations and trends and innovations. But at the same time, some companies may be reluctant of having or sharing too openly all of their wishes for innovation. And as we see in Austria, several of them request to have their own access, their own closed, let's say, trend laboratory where they can use, where they can operate with the information security for them. So that brings the possibility to have particularly the SMEs doing this kind of work at a very, very low cost. So having said this, one more, let's say, wrap up of the fields of applications of this trend and innovation platform provides members access to industry-specific trend radars with expert input and recommendations. So here it is not about involving the companies, but also bringing on the other side the expertise, making it possible as well for the companies to interact with the experts also in a digital way, and particularly benefiting from the expertise that the experts are providing. Create research on key innovations per industry and make it available to members. Provide access to relevant information for members via standalone app. Doing monthly presentation of trends, qualifying members as innovation managers 4.0 with smart training, particularly when doing events. This platform is extremely useful in the preparation of the events, looking out what is out there through the information scouting and preparing for the event here, but also after the event, post-processing the event with the ideas developed during the event, and then brought into the platform in the ideation section. At the cluster level, developing the strategy of the cluster organization based on future trends. These trends are right there identified after a very, let's say, professional and very attentive selection process of the mega trends and the macro trends. But as the world develops so quickly, these can be adjusted also upon request, saying we have a particular interest in this macro trend that has not been addressed. This can also be included or integrated in the solution. It gives the possibility to generate assessments from members regarding their competencies and develop new solutions and support programs. That is also where the clusters are at the intersection between the industry and the government. It gives the possibility to use all this information for better development or request for support programs. While it has the possibility to have access to the innovations existing out there and smartly selected, it also gives the possibility to present the regional information of the platform members themselves. So innovation can be brought in by the clusters themselves. Optimizing the events in advance through collaborative idea and sharing and evaluation, establishing of an own network of experts for trends and industries, and provide members with their own software solution at a very reasonable price. I'm looking at the time. There are 5 minutes just to show you just how it looks like. This is how the trend radar looks like. This is for the mega trends. Then it's as well for the macro trends and the analysis. This is how the innovation compass looks like, where the innovation scouting is being possible, where you can have your own collections, regional innovations, and so on. And in the end, I would like to say some of the clusters in Europe are implementing it as in Austria. Some of them are in the process of testing. And if you would like to learn more about the platform, please give me a call. Oops, I'm still having the problem. Please give me a call or by email, and we would be very glad to organize a detailed presentation and a journey through the Trend and Innovation platform. So if there are any questions, I think with this my presentation is over, and I would like to give you back the floor.
Thank you very much, Lucia. Wonderful tool. In fact, I will say that I'm pretty sure that everyone here is very interested in knowing more, even if possible in exploring it. So something that we could speak about in the future. Congratulations to all the team developing it. So we have not so many minutes just to open the discussion to everybody. Who wants to make the first comment or contribution? Marek, welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. Fantastic presentations. Listen, knowledge management is super because it's so sexy and then the whole issue is in putting this in practice, and this depends on the institutional setup, organizational setup, culture. Differs between Greece and Finland, Poland and Spain, because you have different actors, you have different setups, and so the whole art of the same with corporations. You can have Gazprom or you can have Philips, the different culture, and they have different knowledge management style. I wonder, in order to be in our cluster community, we have this European Cluster Collaboration Platform, which is aimed to have the kind of knowledge sharing. There are so many aspects on this, and I can as well, because I was interested in this, and entrepreneurial discovery process of smart specialization has this tacit knowledge inside in order to be given to the public administration. So this. Well, but I wanted to talk if it's not an idea for the European Cluster Alliance as a practical reflection of the clusters around Europe to build up the knowledge management system in the European Cluster Alliance. So embed this. I think ideas from Lucia are coming very well, practical ones. But I'm just giving this as a hint, because we have these fantastic meetings, but the knowledge management, the dissemination to really to bottom SMEs which are in clusters and beyond is something which we can work on in the next years and months. But it goes together with the people who are in the certain organizational setup, because knowledge management can be in the organizational setup, and we can use it through ECA in a very organized way, with all the principles of open innovation and for this knowledge management. There are as well risks, because you can get into my experience from previous job in Israel. You can get into the trap of corruption. No? So everything should be with this knowledge management, as long as you have it transparent and open for everyone. This works, and you cannot get into the trap of being accused of corruption because you keep this knowledge, or you abuse knowledge of the others for your purposes. Unduly. So sorry, just main message. I think it's a good idea to set up the knowledge management system. It's open. How we had the proposals from Lucia through clusters around Europe, through European Cluster Alliance, and of course with European Cluster Collaboration Platform we are going to do this. But I think ECA is the autonomous organization bringing together clusters, and I think it will be beneficial for everyone. Very good idea to talk about this, because at the end of the day it can ignite many actions. It can consolidate the community as well, and be the I don't want to use vanguard, but be at the front of any actions in many ecosystems. Okay, thank you.
You are totally right, Marek, as usual. Yes, and we need to think about it. It makes sense how to do that, how to combine it with the ECCP is something that we need to think about, because it will make sense to try to do something mixing both approaches.
It's just to set up certain framework, in which, like Lucia put, the people know that once they give information, they will get back information as well.
Yeah, Marek, sorry for jumping in. I think you with this last phrase, you really touched the point, because I think that both, well, ECCP from more time, and then lately the European Cluster Alliance, both organizations have a lot of knowledge, and that it's already a great repository of knowledge that could be used. The issue is how to use it better, and to create this conductive culture in which people are really motivated to share, especially to share tacit knowledge. And this is something that, well, it is built on time, it needs trust, and I think we are on the right way. But I would like also to refer to, of course, both presentation of the other two speakers were very interesting. Of course, those of Lucia is a very advanced system, but also I would like to again stress the HIME initiative, because I remember that something more than 1 year ago, when he created this group that was just a WhatsApp group that he asked me to be involved, because I was very happy, even if well, most of the discussion is about Portugal, but I am an old time friend of Portugal, but this is really the power of a really bottom-up initiative in which really people are participating in a candid and frank war without any type of hidden purpose. That is just well, the common participation, the common sharing. What the phrase I like very much, this phrase that Jaime always used, that you are what we share, we are what we share, because really this is the more you give, you more you give back in knowledge, and this is if it's done in a very well candid way, and this is something that is very important, and also there are the person behind. So I think it's we can do a lot of things. I think we have a good basis with all the knowledge repository we have in ECCP and the ECA, but then it's people.
Indeed, Alberto, it's the people that actually make this, because the machines, it's not only with the machines, it's not going to help. As you see, the machines can be very helpful in providing us the information, but it's still the human being that is deciding what is relevant, what do we need. And this dialogue, I would like to emphasize as well what Marek said. It's yes, the trust is there, and I think particularly within the European Clusters Alliance, we have demonstrated over the last years. We are going now in years. It's the trust that is being created alone through these discussions that we are having here today in this openness. I mean, it's not open innovation that we are doing here. These are the sparks that can be, you know, somebody takes a piece of information from here, goes home, and does something with that. What we can do is also in the future build more upon the ideas generated in these open discussions and open dialogues that we are having today. So I think that's also a path to think for the future development of the Clusters Alliance as well.
And Antonio,
the point.
Let me say just 1 minute. Now, to say that this sharing knowledge group in Portugal was also created by your excellent experience here in our group. So it was at the same time that it was created, and one of the main brains for the creation of the group was the excellent experience we are having here, and most of the people are aware of that because we have already promoted it, and they think it's very, very interesting. So my many thanks also for helping to give good ideas to us. Okay, thank you.
Oh, thanks to you. I'm glad to hear that. Yes, I totally agree with what the message is, but it's true that we need to give some organization to those potentialities, you know, if meaning the Wikipedia is there because there is a tool to organize the knowledge sharing, you know, and Lucia has just presented one very well structured tool. So perhaps it's true that we should think on how to take the best of what we know from the European Cluster Alliance side. And this is a tool also, our meetings is a tool, but it's true that we are not making the all or taking the best of the information that we are sharing in a structured way. And perhaps if we do it, we could extend the benefits for many others. Okay, our cluster members, and so on. So I understand that the challenge here is what can we do to improve the results. Okay, for sure we need to come with you, with the person, with those that are coming here. Some of you near every time, and it's wonderful, but many others also. I don't know, 1, 2, 3 times, and giving us excellent contributions. How to put that in a place in which we could really access it, use it, and provoke new results, as Jaime just said. Okay, that's the challenge, and I'm glad because this session has been useful in order to think about it. Thank you very much, Alberto, Lucia, Jaime. Wonderful. You are a key pillar in our activities, and so I'm really wish to be able to organize a face-to-face meeting soon. I hope, if possible, before the end of this year, and have the opportunity to really share together with you those ideas and put and create new realities, okay, for our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Antonio. Yes, indeed. I think that physical meeting is key to build this trust that is needed for sharing knowledge. So thanks to the fact that we know before in the real life, I think this is possible. If not only online, it's very complicated. Okay, bye-bye to everybody.
Thank you very much.
You have a very wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marek. Bye. Clodak, bye. Also to you.